Jesus spoke this word to unsealed eyes. It will unseal yours too. There is a specific kind of suffering that no one talks about enough. The suffering of feeling capable, of knowing that something more is possible, and yet finding yourself unable to move forward no matter what you try. It is not laziness. It is not a lack of faith. It is not a character flaw. It is a seal. A deliberate archontic frequency layered over your perception that reduces everything you can see to the evidence of your current limitation, making your circumstances appear to be the final word on what your life is allowed to become. The Gnostic tradition named this mechanism with extraordinary precision, and Jesus, who understood the architecture of this seal better than any teacher who has ever walked this earth, left behind a specific Aramaic transmission designed to dismantle it. The word is pithak, to open, to unseal, to unlock what has been deliberately closed, and it carries the force not of a request, but of a command issued by someone who holds the original key to the lock. This teaching will give you that key, the full protocol for using it, and the understanding of exactly what has been sealing your vision and your movement. Stay until the end, because the activation at the close of this video may be the most important thing you do today. Before you can use Pithak with the power it was designed to carry, you must understand precisely what it is being spoken against. The Gnostic texts, particularly the fragments recovered from Naga Hammadi, describe the Archons not as mythological villains inhabiting a supernatural underworld, but as structural intelligences whose primary function is the management of human perception. This is a technical description, not a poetic one. The Archontic grid is a perception management system. It does not primarily operate through external force or obvious coercion. It operates by controlling what a human consciousness believes it is capable of seeing. The most effective prison is the one the prisoner cannot see, and the most sophisticated version of that prison is one that presents its walls as simply the natural shape of reality itself. When you look at your life from inside the archonic frequency and see stagnation, what you are seeing is not the full truth of your situation. You are seeing what the perceptual filter is permitting you to see. The filter keeps your inner eye locked on the evidence of limitation, the bank account, the relationship, the career, the body. Because as long as your consciousness is processing that evidence as the complete picture, you will remain tuned to the archontic frequency. You will continue to generate, from that frequency, exactly the circumstances that confirm what the filter is showing you. This is not a metaphor for negative thinking. It is a description of a closed vibrational loop, a sealed system that requires not discipline or effort to break, but a specific frequency command that disrupts the seal at its root. Pithak is that command, and it has been deliberately hidden from you for 2,000 years. The miracle Jesus never explained. The account of Jesus restoring sight to the man born blind, as recorded in the Gospel of John, is one of the most misread passages in the entire canonical tradition. The institutional church has spent 2 millennia interpreting it as a demonstration of supernatural power, a proof of divine authority, performed for the benefit of witnesses who needed convincing. This interpretation serves the institution. It keeps the miracle at a distance, safely in the realm of the exceptional and the historic, unavailable to ordinary human beings who are not Jesus and cannot therefore perform what he performed. The Gnostic reading of this passage is fundamentally different and far more threatening to the systems that profit from spiritual dependency. Jesus was not treating a physical organ. The man born blind, in the Gnostic framework, is the archetype of the soul that has never been permitted to perceive beyond the archontic overlay. The soul sealed from birth inside a perceptual system that calls its limitation reality. When Jesus applied clay to that man's eyes, he was not working with the biology of vision. He was working with the pineal gland, the biological antenna that, when fully activated, allows a human being to perceive the dimensions of reality that exist beneath and beyond the archontic construct. And when he spoke the Aramaic word that unsealed that man's perception, he was not performing a miracle in the sense of bypassing natural law. He was restoring natural law. He was issuing an unlock command to a system that had been artificially sealed. The man did not simply receive physical sight that day. He received gnosis, the direct, unmediated perception of what is actually present beneath the veil. Jesus rejected the diagnosis the system had assigned to that man entirely. He did not negotiate with it. He did not work within the archontic classification of what was possible. He moved directly to the transmission. He spoke Pithak, Pete H-A-K-H. in Aramaic is not a gentle word. Modern translations that render the spirit of this term as simply open are doing it the same disservice that the canonical translators did to every other sacred Aramaic sound they passed through the filter of Greek and Latin. They preserved a surface, meaning while discarding the frequency beneath it. The root of pithak carries something far more confrontational than an invitation. It is the sound of a sealed door being commanded open by someone who does not ask permission. It implies that the closure is illegitimate, that what has been sealed was sealed by a force that had no right to seal it, and that the speaker is invoking a higher authority than the one that created the lock. This is precisely the Gnostic understanding of human stagnation and spiritual blindness. You are not stuck because the universe has decided your expansion is finished. You are not sealed because the divine source has withheld its provision from you. You are sealed because the Archontic grid installed a lock, and every time you accept the diagnosis your circumstances are offering you, every time you orient your consciousness to the evidence of limitation and call it truth, you turn that lock one more degree closed. PDHAKH does not ask the Archontic seal to open. If these Gnostic teachings are awakening a desire for inner transformation within you, we prepared a guide to help you discover the beginning of this path. Link in the comments. PDHAKH is not a word for ordinary moments. It is a precision tool, the kind of vibrational intervention that is most powerful when it is applied at the exact point of maximum archontic compression, which means you do not practice it when everything is flowing. You reach for it when you feel the seal closing, when you wake up and the first sensation is the weight of circumstances that have not changed, when the same thought loops begin before you have fully opened your eyes and the body contracts against a day that feels predetermined by yesterday's evidence. That is the moment. Pithak was designed for when a conversation, a bank statement, a medical update, or a relationship dynamic is presenting itself as final and immovable truth. When your inner I can see nothing beyond the wall of what appears to be real, that is the moment the unlock command is needed most. The Archontic seal is most powerful in exactly these moments because it feeds on the biological stress response. When cortisol rises and the nervous system enters a contracted survival state, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of expanded perception and creative possibility, goes offline. The amygdala narrows vision to the threat. The electromagnetic field of the heart contracts. And from inside that contracted state, the evidence of limitation looks total. This is not weakness. This is the system operating as it was designed. But the system has a vulnerability that the Gnostic tradition identified with precision. It cannot maintain the seal in a consciousness that is actively transmitting from the frequency of the monad. Pithak, spoken with the breath and intention of the living Eon within you, does not suppress the biological stress response by force. It shifts the frequency from which you are broadcasting, and the seal, which was always dependent on your unconscious cooperation with its frequency, loses its structural support and begins to dissolve. If this teaching is stirring something in your heart, and you wish to explore it further, we created a guide that explains the first sacred words, where the journey begins, and their transformative meaning within the Gnostic teachings. The link is pinned in the comments. The activation of PDHAKH requires two things above all others: correct breath and genuine authority. The breath is the carrier. The authority is the recognition that the Eon within you, the fragment of the monad that has been incarnate inside the body you currently inhabit, outranks every archontic structure ever placed over your perception. Without that recognition, the word is a sound. With it, the word is a command. Begin by finding stillness, seated or standing, spine naturally upright, feet connected to the ground. Close the eyes. Breathe in slowly through the nose for a count of 4, pulling the breath deep into the lower abdomen, expanding upward through the chest. Hold for 4 counts, not with muscular tension but with receptive stillness, as if gathering the full authority of your Eon into a single point of intention. Now name what is sealed. Do not avoid it. Do not bypass it with positivity. Look directly at the circumstance, the sensation, the perceptual field that has been presenting itself as final, and recognize it for what it is: an archontic construct, a temporary seal placed over a reality that is infinitely larger than what it is permitting you to see. Then exhale, slowly, long, controlled, 8 counts, And at the center of that exhale, with your full voice, or in a firm interior whisper, if circumstances require it, speak the word. P. The P is a stop, a plosive released from the lips with the force of intention. The TH moves forward into the mouth. The AH completes at the back of the throat, the uvular resonance activating at the base of the skull, where the vagus nerve exits the brainstem pithak. Do not whisper it weakly. Do not perform it dramatically. Speak it with the steady authority of someone who knows the seal is not permanent and knows they hold the key. Repeat 3 times across 3 separate exhales, then sit in silence for 1 full minute. Do not immediately fill the space with thought or analysis. What you are feeling in that silence is the perceptual field reorganizing. New pathways of perception are becoming available. Do not name them yet. Simply allow them to arrive. Use this protocol every time the seal reasserts itself, every morning, if needed. Every time the Archontic evidence presents itself as total truth, every time the wall appears and calls itself reality. Everything this teaching has moved through arrives at one recognition that the Gnostic tradition considered the most important truth a soul could receive: the seal is not permanent. It was never permanent. The Archontic grid is powerful, extraordinarily sophisticated, and ruthlessly consistent in how it presents limitation as finality and stagnation as the natural shape of your life. But it is a construct built by a lesser intelligence over a greater one. The living Eon within you, the fragment of the monad that chose to incarnate into this density, and this moment has always held more original authority than every Archontic lock ever placed over your perception. Pete HAKH is not a magic word. It is a transmission, a vibrational command that reconnects your consciousness to the authority it already carries, but has been conditioned to forget. You have received the full lineage of this teaching. You understand now what the Archontic seal actually is and how it maintains itself. Through your unconscious cooperation with its frequency, you have seen why Pithak was stripped from the translations, because a soul that knows how to issue an unlocked command to its own perceptual field does not remain spiritually dependent. You have received the complete activation protocol. You know when to use it, how to breathe it, how to speak it, and what the silence after it is doing inside your electromagnetic field. The only thing left is the practice. Not once, not when circumstances become desperate enough, but consistently as the daily discipline of a soul that has chosen to no longer cooperate with a seal it never agreed to wear. Pithak. The lock was always on the outside. The key was always within you. If you've stayed until this moment, it means this teaching resonated deeply with you. I prepared a guide with Gnostic teachings, sacred Aramaic words, and simple protocols to help you begin this path of transformation. The link is in the comments. In the next video, I will reveal another sacred Aramaic word connected to the teachings of Jesus. Subscribe to the channel to continue discovering the wisdom hidden in these sacred teachings. And before you go, leave a comment and tell me in first person, what was the moment in this message that touched your heart the most?